Hello, I'm Melissa Castellanos with HayLo Creative Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fun Deco Mesh Halloween wreath using poof and curl techniques. So let's get started. For this project, I chose a 14-inch work wreath. There are 18 ties on this frame. To start, gather your 21-inch Deco Mesh. At the end, create a tail and lay that tail into one set of ties, pull them opposite each other pretty firmly, and give it a good twist to secure your mesh to your base. Now we're going to create our poofs that make up our base, or the first layer of our base rather. So put your set of ties on your start mark, measure out 12 inches, gather, and then where you gathered, place that into the next open set of twist ties and secure it to the frame. Then fluff your poof out a little bit, and you're going to do this all the way around the inner and outer rings of your frame. When you're done, you can cut the remaining mesh and save it to reuse for another project. Now we get to start the second layer of our base with our filler mesh. This is 10-inch Deco mesh. We've got it in purple, green, and silvery white window pane. We're going to cut 9 strips of each of those colors at 12 inches. Once you're done cutting all of your pieces of filler mesh, you're going to do the curl or spiral technique. So you follow the natural curl of the mesh, you roll it up into a tube shape, and with the seam side down, so the seam side goes down into the mesh of the wreath, you're going to put 1 per twist tie. And since we're using some different colors, we're going to alternate colors. So do a green, and then your next tie do a purple, your next tie do a green, and so on and so forth, alternating around the inner and outer rings of your wreath. After you get the green and purple mesh added, you're going to add the silvery white window pane, and you will add the silvery white on top of the green. So open your twist tie, lay the silvery white window pane in on top, and then twist your ties back down to secure it all to the frame. Now we need to get our sign ready. So I've attached 2 cable mount brackets to the back of the sign. These are UV rated for high temperatures, so they will withstand inclement weather. I have run a pipe cleaner through each one of them, and I'm wrapping it around on top of itself for stability. So now I have 2 anchor points for attaching the sign. So grab your wreath and assess it, look over the top, find out where exactly you want to place your sign. Make sure that you've figured out where you're going to place your bow as well. Once you're happy with sign placement, then you're going to run the pipe cleaners down to the frame and secure it to each side. I am attaching the pipe cleaners to the inside ring of the wire frame. The next step, we are going to add a cute pair of witch's legs to this wreath. So I run one leg behind the sign, and I'm going to attach the wire that's in it to that first ring, that inner inside ring of the frame. Now, because we're running them behind the sign's going to help hold them in place. So I'm not going to do any extra securing other than just attaching it to the inside ring below the sign. Once you've got the first one on, grab your second leg and repeat that step. Run it behind the sign and attach it to that inside ring to secure it to the frame. Once you have the legs attached, then you can take a moment to straighten everything, move them around, place them where you want them, move your sign, fluff any mesh that was, that had shifted while you were working on attaching the legs. And then you can move on to your next step. Now we're going to add some Deco Flex tubing in orange. So I cut 30-inch strips and I'm making 3 loops with them. So that gives you 3 loops and 2 tails. They don't have to be exact. And I'm putting one in on top of the purple mesh. So these don't go in every tie, they go in every other one, and only the ones with the purple mesh. So let's get this last piece in and then I'll hold it up so you can see. I really love how we have layered things in such a way that the sign still stands out from the background. We're using all the same colors in the sign, and it can get blendy sometimes and your sign becomes less of a focal point. But in this design, we've layered things so that the sign still pops off of the base. Now we're going to start making the bow. There's only going to be one bow on this wreath. So I measured out a 20-inch tail. Now I'm measuring out a 14-inch loop. I brought it to the back and I'm gathering in my fingers, and then I'm going to twist that tail to bring the pretty side up. And then I'll measure out another 14-inch loop, bring it to the back, gather it in my fingers, twist that pretty side up. Then I will measure another 14-inch loop, bring it to the back, gather it in my fingers, and twist that pretty side to the top. Then I'm going to cut a tail roughly the same length. I don't measure it, I just kind of eyeball the same length. And then, as you know, I love using my Bowdabra to make piece bows. It's my holder. So I lay that 3-loop bow in the bottom and I start to straighten it out. Now, this is a step that I do personally only because I feel that it makes a difference in the end when you're trying to fluff your bow. Now we're going to move on to the second ribbon in our bow. The first, the polka dot ribbon, and this ribbon are both 2.5 inch. I'm measuring again a 20-inch tail. I want a lot of length so I can curl the tails. We're doing a 14-inch loop here, twisting that pretty side to the top, measuring another 14, gathering to the back. And this is a 3-loop bow as well. And again, I cut a tail, I just eyeball it to the length of the previous one. Now you want all of your tails going the same way. So be mindful if you've put loops, going up, then you want your tails going down. And you're going to lay this one in on top of the last one and straighten it before moving on to the next ribbon. This is the third ribbon in our bow. It is also a 2.5 inch. We measured a 20-inch tail, 14-inch loops, and this will be a 3-loop bow as well, just as the other two. When you're finished making your 3 loops, lay it in on top of the other 2 ribbon and straighten it before moving on to the next ribbon. This is the 4th ribbon in our bow. This is our first 1.5-inch ribbon, again with a 20-inch tail. This time, however, we're going to do 13-inch loops. So another 13-inch loop. This will be a 3-loop bow as well. And then once you're finished making the 3 loops, you can add it to the top of our bow pile in your bow dabra. Make sure when you are straightening your bow in the bow dabra that you're holding down the opposite side from where you're working. That way you don't pull the ribbons through and mess up the length of your loops. Now we're going to do the last ribbon in our bow. It is also a 1.5-inch, 20-inch tails, and 13-inch loops. This, however, is only going to be a 2-loop bow. And again, once you're finished making the 2 loops, you can add it to the top of our bow pile that's in the bow dabra. Then we need to add the wire. Typically, you'll do this step at the beginning. You'll add the wire before you add your bows, but for some reason, I always forget. So I cut about 24 inches, 24-inch length rather, of 26 gauge wire, and I ran it underneath the pile of ribbon in the bow dabra, and now I'm crossing it through the slats. Then that allows me to cinch down on the bow and pull it from the bow maker. Then we're going to add that beautiful bow we just made to the top of our wreath, just under the sign. Once you get it secured, flip it over, cut off that excess wire, and then fold it down so there's no pokey edges pointing up. And I go ahead and take the opportunity to clip off the pipe cleaners that we attached the sign with and fold those down as well. This just tidies up our back a bit. Next, we need to finish up our bow. So we're going to dovetail our ends. The 2.5-inch ribbons we will dovetail by folding the ribbon in half and cutting from the folded edge down to the point, creating a V detail, or otherwise known as a dovetail. The 1.5-inch ribbon we will just cut on a slant at an angle. Now we're going to curl all these tails. This is why we cut them at 20 inches, so we can create some curled tails of differing lengths to give some visual height to this piece. To curl the ribbon, as you can see, I'm running my fingers down the wired edge. It's essentially the same concept as curling ribbon that you put on presents at Christmas time. Just run your fingers down the edge and the natural curl of the ribbon should do the rest. One of the last things that we do when building a wreath is we add embellishments. Here I have chosen 3 crows that are glittery and black, so they fit with the design well. We're going to randomly place these throughout the wreath in a triangular pattern. Now I create a hook with the wire stem that they come on that I run the chenille stems or the tinsel stems on the frame through, and that's how I attach them to my frame. So I form a hook with that wire that they come on, and I use that and the tinsel to tie it on. And here I will show you what I mean. I've created a little circle and zoomed in a little so you can see. Now I just run the tinsel ties through that circle. Now we've got some curls on a pick. I really love these. We're going to do some small pieces and then some clusters of 3. So I take this one pick and I cut it down into several pieces. Once I have all my pieces cut, I place them into the wreath like a dry run to test placement. That way, if I don't like them, I can move them around. And then once I'm happy with placement, I'll go back and add the hot glue and put them back in. Since there is no exact science as to where you should place embellishments, just use your rule of 3 and the triangular pattern. Doesn't have to be an upright triangle, so think, different placements for creating a triangle. And by doing so, it gives your eye a nice path to follow. Thank you for watching our Halloween Deco Mesh Wreath tutorial. Click our logo on your screen to subscribe to our channel, and then click the box to the left to go view some more amazing tutorials. Have a great day.